Today's episode is brought to you by the Vegas Beer Guys.
Everything sequel contains explicit language. And why the fudge not, you melon farmer?
Podcast. This is a pitch a sequel segment for the Desperado series. I'm just calling it Desperado, Tom. My name is Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. Joining me, of course, Pitchmaster himself, Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions. Say hello, Tom.
And in walks the biggest Mexican I have ever seen. Big as shit. Just walks right in like he owns the place. And nobody knew quite what to make of him or quite what to think.
Nice.
I wanted to bring us back to better times.
Yes.
In this series. Because we just did Once Upon a Time in Mexico, for those of you who are for some reason skipping that episode to get to this one. And it was...
We did not have a good time watching that movie.
It was tough going. Well, I had a good time talking to you about it, but I did not have a good time remembering the movie.
Yeah.
And as we know, as we've discussed, the best thing that happens in either of these movies happens in the first scene of Desperado. So,
right.
So there we go. There's a quote from that scene from my generation's Peter Lorre, Steve Buscemi.
America's treasure.
Beyond that,
he's fucking great.
Anonymous 9/11 firefighter, by the way.
Yeah.
Didn't even use that to big himself up. What a guy.
Agreed.
Great Khrushchev. By the way.
So, Tom, we're here to pitch a sequel to this series. To me, there are two interesting questions.
Okay.
First question, how the fuck do you come up with a title?
Yes, that was a question I agonized over.
And second question, what the fuck do you do with one more sequel to this series? I think I gave away my answer earlier on one of our episodes, maybe the Desperado episode, but
yeah,
I'm curious to know whether or not we did the exact same thing, because it feels like it's the only thing to do that makes sense. But
yeah, I mean, you have the advantage of an 8-year gap between the second and third movie, where there seems to be a great movie in the making.
Right.
That you glimpse in flashback. But are frustratingly not seeing in real time. So it's a very logical way to go. And I think I've gone with... You'll be happy to know we haven't overlapped there.
Okay.
For me, if you have gone that way.
Indeed, I have.
Okay. I don't know why I'm skirting around the issue.
Yeah.
It's this but I've gone with what I think is the other logical route.
I gave what I would consider a noble effort to trying to do something after Once Upon a Time in Mexico. And because that movie is such a narrative mess, because that movie chooses to do what it does, it's so hard to do something with the character of El Mariachi. I kept hitting roadblocks.
Here's a question for you. This is something we didn't talk about. Do you think it was designed to kill the franchise?
Ooh.
Is it a Gremlins 2 situation where, although we agreed that was probably bullshit, you could see a world in which Joe Dante is like, I want to make sure there's nothing after this.
He certainly left it all on the table.
Yeah, right, exactly. There's nothing left in the tank. Well, does that theory ring true or not?
It doesn't feel like Robert Rodriguez to me.
What, director of Spy Kids 4? No, it doesn't.
Yeah, right. I mean, And if that was the idea in his head, it seems like he would be more definitive. That
he
El
would.
Mariachi would have died, or
You're totally right. You've already disproved my hypothesis by saying that, because at the end of Desperado, he alludes to the fact that there will be another sequel.
yeah,
and
right.
that we might want to keep the guitar. So yeah, you're right. There would be some reference to it in the movie. I don't think you get any. They don't mess around with that kind of. Yep, Spy Kid. I was like doubting the existence of Spy Kids 4D, but it does exist.
Oh no, it exists. Yeah.
For a second I was like, did I just slight this guy by saying there's a Spy Kids 4? But there's only a Spy Kids 4. It's Spy Kids 4D.
It's 4D. I could have told
You're right.
you that.
He's not the kind of man who knows
I
when to
remembered
stop.
that. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So, I mean, that's an interesting posed question, but I mean, as we discussed, I don't know what Robert Rodriguez was thinking when he made Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
We'll never know.
And I'm just never going to know, I don't think. But
No, we'll never know.
And it's funny
we
because...
don't even know what Johnny Depp's thinking in the movie, so
yeah, right.
Why the fuck will we know what the director
And what's
of the
interesting
movie's
to
thinking?
me is that monetarily and critically, he has no reason to go back and look at that movie as anything other than a success.
Yeah. Correct.
Because I was about to say I'd like to know what he thinks of that movie now, but 66% on Rotten Tomatoes, $98.7 million total against a budget of $29 million. He doesn't have a reason to go back and look at that movie as anything other than a success, which is bizarre to me.
Yeah, bizarre. Yeah, I agree. I don't.
Because how I come at this from pitching a sequel is, like, the reason I wanted to do a sequel after it was just to try and fix it. And you can't fix it. He broke it.
Yeah.
So that's why I had to go where I went, and I want the story in between, because within this movie, the flashback, there's a good movie in there.
This looks great. This is better than whatever you're watching for sure. Every time it appears.
All right, what was the title of your?
Do you want me to do mine first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. So I went down what for me seems like the other logical route to doing a, let's say, Rodriguez and or Tarantino universe style sequel.
Mm-hmm.
My pitch of my movie, sorry. Let's just assume they want to make it. My movie is called...
Oh, jeez.
This is something. I don't know whether this is the best thing I've ever done or the worst. It's possibly both.
I'll tell you.
The Chronicles of Dick Gun, a Mexico trilogy story.
Okay, wait, say it again?
The Chronicles of Dick Gun,
Wow.
a Mexico trilogy story.
No, it's great. That's a fucking great
Well,
title.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Again, I'm feeling that we're not the best barometers for each other in this situation. So, have you ever seen a movie called The Red Violin?
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't,
Sam Jackson?
yeah, it's an anthology movie, episodic movie about a violin that gets passed from person to person, from generation to generation.
He lists that as one of his top 5 movies he ever did.
Sam Jackson?
Yeah.
Huh?
Said that on Colbert like last week.
Yeah, it's a good movie. So the narrative principle of that movie, but also speaking to the fact that characters, names, brands tend to appear in the Rodriguez Tarantino canon more than once.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm focusing on the dick gun, which
Clearly.
we which is, I mean, I don't need to explain. I explained it perfectly. It's a dick gun. It's a belt you put on, and there's a gun that's a dick.
Is this how it gets into?
Well, it's owned. So we see it owned by El Mariachi
Right.
in Desperado, but he doesn't reveal how he came into ownership of it. In 1996 is From Dusk Till Dawn. Let me double check that.
I was gonna say 94 or 5. Oh no, 96.
No, 1996. Yeah, so it's at post Desperado.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Savini's Sex Machine has the dick gun.
Right.
I'm just gonna assume that there's only one of these things, okay? Because it's just better
Right.
for the story. Now that I'm thinking about it, it just could be manufactured. Doesn't have to be the same dick gun. Let's assume it's the same dick gun.
No,
But
yeah, I love where you're going.
But I'm gonna do a red violin on this, and I'm taking it back to, I'm gonna look at it this historically. And so we begin in another franchise crossover at the 1804 duel between Vice President Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton, where it is revealed that the way that Aaron Burr got the drop on Alexander Hamilton was
Wow.
a Benjamin Franklin invented dick gun, and so he killed Alexander Hamilton. So basically, I want to peel off some of that Hamilton money, right?
Clearly.
I want to get the people who are willing to pay $200 a ticket to watch a Def Jam poetry version of Drunk History, right? Watch it on Comedy Central, guys. It's the same thing. Good Key and Peele sketch equals Hamilton. There you go. We've lost all our listeners.
Both of them?
Both Key, but now we have Key and Peele, so we're back.
There you
We're
go.
even.
Right.
So anyway, so dick gun is used there. Aaron Burr's like, I gotta get this out of here. Yeah, you gotta go. So he gives it to his, what do they call it? His first, the guy whoever the guy is in the duel that gives you the gun. And there's another guy when you duel. There's another guy standing there helping.
Yeah,
you.
second.
Second. Sorry. Yes, that makes more sense. The second guy is called a second, not a first. That's some good fact checking there, Mike. And then then he goes off. He settles on the western frontier later in his life, still with the dick gun. He becomes the owner of a brothel, and he keeps the dick gun. And so we're into another story set on the western front.
You gotta keep the dick gun when you start a brothel.
Right.
That's just common sense.
Where one of the women who work as prostitutes in the brothel is killed by like a psychotic rapist guy, and when he comes back, one of the prostitutes gets the drop on him by using the dick gun against him. So we've got two episodes of it so far. I'm not gonna do all the episodes. I'm gonna show you basically what this movie's gonna be like.
How many episodes are there?
There's quite a few. What's a good 2 hour? How many you get in a 2-hour movie? World War I is the next thing. It's the son of the prostitute who now has the dick gun. She gives it to him as an heirloom. He uses it to lure a gay German general into a sting operation and then kill him. So blah 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 blah. Eventually it ends up in El Mariachi's hands and then Sex Machine's hands, and we're gonna figure out how that all happens. So that's a sense of that's like the first. I'd say that's like the first 45 minutes of the movie, nailed down, and we'll
Wait, it's not the whole movie?
no, because we got to go from World War I to like the 1990s. So it's
Oh,
like
but-
insert your own dick gun episode here. It can be like Casino Royale. I mean,
Yeah,
not
but
not
it's-
not the spoof movie. Like it'd be you can have different directors, you can have different story. You know, you can have different directors doing different segments. It can be like 4 Rooms, but good.
Yeah, we're just the separated stories. You made it sound like we're going to get from our initial Dick Gun Hamilton
Yeah.
to Sex Machine in
Yeah.
45 minutes. And
No,
then there's
no.
more movie after that?
No. Sorry, what I meant to say, the first 45 minutes of the movie is like leading up to say World War One.
Okay.
And basically, I'm giving you a pitch in the form of like a half hour of the movie, the first, I give you the first 3 stories, and then the rest hopefully writes itself.
Well, I mean, you're actually giving a pitch as opposed to plot point describing your whole fucking
Yeah,
movie.
I also can't think of how to integrate it into World War II and the sexual revolution as yet. You think I would be able to, but
That seems like a natural fit, so to speak.
yeah, except hippies wouldn't want to use the dick gun on each other.
I think you win. I should just say that up front. 'Cause
I think it is something that knowing that Machete Kills and Machete in Space are things that exist in the Rodriguez canon,
Mhm.
I don't think this is too far out of whack.
I don't think so either.
And it seemed to me that this is
Because you know what I
a
do.
recurring character in the movies.
Yeah,
In his movies.
I'm always trying to find a good narrative fit. And I just want to go back to the story we didn't see.
Yeah.
And that's it.
But
My
that's
movie-
the other potential, right?
Yeah. And that's all I want for
But
this
what is
series.
it called?
It's called El Pistolero.
Oh, great.
And it's great. So in between Desperado and Once Upon a Time in Mexico, you have El Pistolero. He has put his guitar case away. He is married. He has a child. And we gotta find a different General Marquez, because that guy, maybe it's not the actor's fault, but I mean, he was.
I think that was key grip Jesus Rodriguez
Yeah, right,
in shades and a
exactly.
cap.
I've just never seen anybody that was less intimidating for me. But what I like is this idea.
It should have just been a lamp with a uniform on. Would have been the same, right? Same effect.
So, well, let me ask you this, because to me, this movie can go in one of 2 places. One, half the movie is sort of, maybe not half, but at least a third of the movie is just sort of building this new life that El Pistolero has
yeah.
with his wife and child, and then the general shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Or that happens at the beginning. Like that's the cold open.
Well, that
But then that
depends.
feels
Do
like
you
you're
want to make a
making the same
Twilight movie?
mistake.
Do you want to make a Twilight movie, or do you want to make like an efficient thriller?
Yeah.
You've got to make that choice.
Okay. Then you've answered my question for me. I like the idea of setting up their life, and then he comes in. It's even in the Once Upon a Time in Mexico, I don't like that idea of it's that machismo thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look, this guy already left her. So then seeing her again and saying, no, you can't have anybody. Like, he already left her once.
Right.
So I don't know how much sense that makes.
No, I agree with you completely.
So you have to fix that hole. And to me, was there anything in Once Upon a Time in Mexico of
You could stop there. Stop there. That's still a good question. Carry on.
Well, was there anything That's a great question. Was there anything? Was there anything? What was the reason? Do you remember the reason why was it that she said she would never have kids? Or why did they leave each other, she and the general? Do you remember that?
I don't remember a reason being given.
All right.
That's all I have.
My idea was he does happen upon them. He does see her.
Yeah.
But he's not that machismo, angry piece of shit. That just, to me, that doesn't interest me.
Right.
What does interest me is the idea of he recognizes El Pistolero. He's a wanted man still officially.
Mm-hmm.
And he could use his government job to get him out of the way, and then he'd have his woman.
Mm.
This is an idea of a bad person doing a bad thing, but in a way that is more emotionally honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked that idea.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
And so what you have is this idea of, I'm sorry I have to do this. I work for the government. He's wanted by the law.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever cared for me at all, you would not do that. We have a child. Meanwhile, there's that pull between she and her husband of, don't become that man again.
Yeah.
You know, he's looking at the guitar case. You leave it where it is.
Yeah.
So that by the end of the movie, she does die, the child dies, but her dying wish is for him to not become El Pistolero again. Now, the only bad thing is, of course, he's going to become that, but to become that in this mess of a movie that follows. But that's not my fault. That's Once Upon a Time in Mexico's fault.
The Lando Calrissian of this franchise.
Yeah. But
Not
that's
my
the
fault.
pitch. El Pistolero.
Yeah, it's great. It's
And
very solid pitch.
We get the in-between story.
The in-between story, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you could probably afford to do more retconning, and everyone would thank you.
Right.
You're being very faithful to the chronology of the series. I think you could throw in the fact that the child's not really dead and all those things that I really thought they were gonna, because I assumed that that the flashback sequences in Once Upon a Time in Mexico would have some bearing on the movie. So for me, it seemed obvious that even though it would have been ripping off Kill Bill,
not even for him emotionally.
Yeah.
Or
it would have been
if
ripping
so,
off Kill Bill if
barely.
the kid was still alive.
Yeah.
Or she was still alive, or both. But I think you can afford to even mess with that plot point, given that it has no significance on the next movie. I mean, they could be alive somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And it still wouldn't matter.
Right.
And that could be...
all that does is set up a sequel for after Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Yeah, and you'd have to make that too.
Right.
And Robert Rodriguez would be like, great, two more movies to drain out of this franchise.
Yeah, right, exactly. Narratively, though, and, you know, again, not my fault that Once Upon a Time in Mexico is Once Upon a Time in Mexico. But the idea of him becoming El Pistolero again and sinking into that hole again is narratively interesting.
Yeah, because we didn't really talk about where he starts out in
I was just going to say.
In Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Yeah.
Partly because, again, has no bearing on the movie.
On the story.
But he's in a pretty good place at the He is. He's playing his guitar again.
But what's interesting is he's
rediscovered his community.
He's making guitars.
Yeah.
And
until one of his community gets shot in the face by Danny Trejo. Things are good.
And then he has to pull his small handgun out of his guitar.
Yeah.
Because it was there all along.
Right.
Which would make narrative sense for my story, too.
Yes, it would.
that he fell into a hole, climbed back out, but the darkness is still there.
And since we've not said many nice things about Once Upon a Time in Mexico, I like the starting point there
For him.
Mainly because I know how big a Stallone had Robert Rodriguez in, and it felt like Rambo 3 with the monks.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But
it all would make sense if her dying wish was for him to not become that man again, but he does just to avenge her, and then climbs back out, and it's kind of like you could end the movie with a vow of, I'm not going to ever do this again, and then maybe watch him seal. Maybe the last shot is him sealing that gun inside that guitar. Yeah.
Wow.
That's some good shit.
There are more good ideas in that pitch than the whole of Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
I know. Oh, Robert Rodriguez, are you listening? You have 2 ideas here.
2, and I'm not, I'm
Both
not patting, I'm not just
made.
patting us on the back for the sake of it. These are 2 movies.
Both of these movies should get made.
If Machete Kills in Space can even be in development, I don't think that movie will ever be made. But if that can even be in development, then so can The Chronicles of Dick Gunn, a Mexico trilogy story, and El Pistolero, the movie that on Once Upon a Time in Mexico could have been.
Absolutely.
It could have. You could also. Here's an alternate title for you.
Mm-hmm.
Once Upon a Time Before in Mexico. Or just call it Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Let the audience choose which one is the real movie. Because at least, trying to do the numbers here. At least 34% of people would prefer your movie.
Will like my movie.
You've already got 34% of the film-going public on your side. And it's just going to go up from there when they see what a solid, craftsman-like job you have done on what is frankly an abomination of cinematic storytelling.
It's such a mess. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can tell us. We like both these ideas, but you tell us which one you prefer. What should Robert Rodriguez make? You're going to have to tell me your title.
You're not doing my pitch any favors here by consistently not remembering the title.
I didn't write it down.
The Chronicles of Dick Gunn.
Chronicles. Okay, I couldn't remember the Chronicles. The Chronicles of Dick Gunn,
a Mexico trilogy
trilogy story. Or El Pistolero. You let us know. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Send us an email to everythingsequel@gmail.com.
Can you imagine if you're pitching to an executive and they they go in the middle of talking, giving you feedback, they go, "What was it called again?" You'd be like, "Oh, well, they're not making this movie, are they?"
I'll take.
I'll let myself out.
Thank you. Can I take a pastry on my way out the door, please? Thank you.
Is that orange juice free for everyone, or?
Oh, that's great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're going to be coming at you. Should we tell them where we're going next, Tom, or leave it a secret?
Oh, I think we can give them a clue because given the source material, I think it makes sense to keep it a secret.
Very good. I like that. You should already know, everyone. Stay tuned. We'll have a new series for you next week. For Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions, I am Michael Shantz